Greetings and welcome to Capture Paranormal's ParaNerd Talk. Whether you're watching us on youtube.com/CaptureParanormal or listening to us on the Capture Paranormal podcast, we want to thank you for joining us. My name is Jason. We got Bryce, we got Kevin, we got John, we got Nikki. Mike's manning the cameras behind there. Today's topic, as voted on by our friends over at facebook.com/CaptureParanormal, is audio and EVPs. So a little bit about audio or EVPs, I guess. EVPs are electronic voice phenomena. They're sounds that are found on electronic recordings that are interpreted as spirit voices that have been either unintentionally recorded or intentionally requested and recorded. Popularized in the 1970s, parapsychologist, I'm probably going to butcher this, Konstantino Radov, describe EVP as usually a length of a word or a short phrase. EVPs can be interpreted as either paranormal phenomena by paranormal enthusiasts or pareidolia by scientists and skeptics, which is finding words and voices and things that aren't actually there. In 1941, photographer Attila von Székely was among the first to try recording voices of the dead using a 70 RPM record. But it wasn't until he switched to reel-to-reel tape that he believed he was successful, claiming to have recorded the phrases, "This is G," "Hot Dog Art," and "Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you all." So, in 1959, painter and film producer Frederick Jurgensen was recording bird sounds. However, upon playback, he claimed to have captured the voice of his late father as well as his deceased wife. In the early 1980s, a device called the Spiricom was built and used by proclaimed psychic to hold a two-way conversation with spirits. And in 2002, Frank Sumption created Frank's Box, which is also known as the Ghost Box, which scans radio frequencies and is said to be a real-time conversation with the other side. And that is still used today as the SB7 Spirit Box. So, getting into it.
The Shack Hack also
The
is
Shack Hack, yeah.
what it was called. I've got one of those where it was an old Radio Shack box. I picked up, I think, the last one when we were in, I think we were at Rolling Hills or something. We hit a Radio Shack to get these boxes because you could open them up and pull off jumper and off it goes. I got one, Kevin got one. Kevin's was soldered and mine still had the jumper in it, so.
Still got it.
You've still got it. I've still got mine.
So EVPs are one of the biggest kind of things used to try to capture evidence of the paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
We obviously use it on every investigation, but is it something that we believe works? Is it true? Is it real?
I think it's one of the most hardcore proofs that there is. Now, people talk about, I'm not too big into the different classes, like there's A1 and B1 and C1 and A2 and all these different classes. And it's all about, like A1 is where you hear a distinct voice. I know that one. And then B1 is where you hear like a growl or a shuffle or something that's not human or it's hard to attribute to being human. I know, like, I have heard some A1 EVPs in my time. My very first investigation at my house, we recorded some EVPs, and what was interesting was the team that was there to investigate and I each had digital audio recorders, independent audio recorders. And they told me, listen at this time frame on your audio recorder and see if you hear anything. And what they played for me, what they had, and I listened to what I had, and it sounded as though somebody was standing between us. And it was the same voice saying the exact same thing. First one said, "Franklin, go get me some water." Very clear. It was a very old woman, sounded like she was in her 70s or 80s. Very clear. Sounded like it was closer to theirs, a little further from ours. That is like holy grail of evidence.
Yeah, right. You can go. I know we've done it before where we've caught something on an audio recorder.
Yes.
So we go back to the camera audio
Yes.
to see if it matches up. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
So
yeah, and that's one thing that we've learned about when we do our investigations is you don't do that point of view investigation. You film into
Right.
the team. So then that way, when you catch something on EVP,
You go back, could be
You go
someone
back
whispering,
yeah.
and then you'll have the evidence on camera that, okay, John is whispering at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
So we can line it up.
Exactly. We mutter to ourselves a lot.
Yeah. You don't notice you're doing it, but you still do it.
You still do it. Yeah, you think you're thinking internally, but it's actually kind of an internal or an external. I've caught myself doing that where it's like, I'm just going to put this here. And you catch a voice going, oh, we'll put this here. And you go, what the hell? And you look at, oh, that was me talking.
Kevin, what are your thoughts on EVPs and audio?
Like Bryce said, or we all know that it's like really the only solid piece of evidence that we can use if we catch anything. Like we've caught video and audio and pictures, and we've never used them because we can always explain a picture or a piece of video or whatever the case may be. Audio is so much harder to decipher, and even like I've gone back before, like when I was doing it on my own, and listened to some of the recordings that I've gotten, and that was like going back 8 years, and I don't have video to look on because I never filmed anything because I didn't know what I was doing. I just went out to supposed haunted locations and abandoned houses, and I don't think we had a video camera anyways. We just had audio recorders, and there's still ones that still baffle me. Like even if I had camera, there's no way that it would be disproven because it was like right in the microphone. It was like, look behind you. And I was like, Jesus, like, and I know I was by myself because there was only 3 of us, and it was a massive building, and stupid us, like we just split up. We just split into 3 people and left ourselves alone in these huge abandoned buildings. But we've had stuff where looked on audio or listened to audio, looked on camera. It's definitely this, and then you might go back a month later, 2 months later, and you listen to it again, you look at it again, and then you'll see, like if Jonathan's over in the corner, and you make, I didn't see him there the first time, and then you can have it totally disproven. Or I've given it to other people, third parties, video and the audio, and they're like, well, this guy's over here talking. It's like, oh, okay. And then it's like anything, I think it's hard to use it as hard evidence. When you have a case like yours, like 2, 3, 4 audio recorders catch the same thing, sure. But when it's solely mine and not on that, not on this, it's like, if you can catch it 3 times, great. 2 times, twice, great. But if 1 time,
I've kind of always been like, I've always figured I find it more legitimate if it's not caught on something else. So if we catch it on an audio recorder, but it's not caught on video, I kind of take that as more of a legitimate evidence.
I can see that, yeah, because one of the theories is that the spirits can imprint themselves onto audio somehow.
Right.
And so a camera picks it up, but your audio recorder doesn't.
Right.
And it's clear and it's loud, and it's like, there's no way that somebody couldn't have said that, but no other devices have picked that up.
Yeah.
That's weird.
But I think one of the hardest things to do is personal experiences. Right, like at Princess Ave. We heard what sounded like a light hit the stage.
Yep.
Like thunderous crash through the whole building. We all heard it, all whatever, 10 of us that were there. And on the audio recorder, it was just this light little rumble.
Yeah.
Like out of the 3, like I had one in my hand, one upstairs, and I think...
Well, that gets into disembodied voices and stuff too.
Yeah,
Where
and it's like, how did that not sound what we heard? Like the recorder was right in my hand,
Yeah.
by my body, like a foot away. How did it not catch that huge crash? And it, like when you listen to it, it's just like it thundered outside or something. Like a really, really low rumble.
Well, I remember, I think it was your first investigation with the old team at the Armories with us. And we were on that mezzanine, and we heard women chatting upstairs.
Yeah.
And it was very clear, 2 women talking back and forth to each other. Audio picked up nothing. And but you hear us all, and you see us on video react like, who's talking up there? We're calling upstairs, and there's nobody up there.
See, but it's things like that is when the skeptics and the non-believers will say, well, I still don't believe you.
Yeah,
'Cause you don't
exactly.
have-
You don't have the proof.
But you have 5 or 6 people saying this is what happened. It's like,
Yeah.
well, where's my evidence? Where's my hard
And then
stuff?
that's where I say the evidence is in the fact that there is a lack of evidence. You have these people who have no reason to say
Yeah.
that there's something going on, and there's something going on.
Well, a good example of that is at my mother-in-law's house when it was Mike, myself, and Jonathan, just the 3 of us, right?
Yeah.
And we're down in the basement, and the Equivox is going crazy, and it's swearing at us, and it's really, really angry, and like people on the Facebook feed are like telling us to leave the house, like get out, like there's something wrong going on there. And then when I said, show us a sign of your presence or give us something, and then we heard someone run across the floor and stop at the top of the stairs, but no audio picked that up.
Yeah.
Like it hurt, like it caught us, like, holy crap, what was that? And you could hear like thump, 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 like right across the floor, and
That was
like
loud.
Mike's like went completely pale and like started freaking out, and like I'm stunned because I've never, like in 26 years of being in that house, never heard anything like that.
Well, there was that time when we were investigating that farm that one time too, and you and I were out in the barn. We heard horses running overhead.
Yeah.
And nothing on audio.
No. Again, and then when I got home and I asked my wife, I said, "Did you hear what we heard over like Facebook?" I said, "No." Like, you didn't hear someone run across the floor? No. So it's stuff like that.
That's kind of the anti.
Yeah, it is, because the 3 of us knew what we heard and experienced.
That was loud.
And it was getting tense in that house. I don't know why. We weren't doing anything bad. It was just one of those nights. And yeah, that was.
So I'm wondering what someone who's not into the tech side of things thinks about EVPs, and that being Nikki. What do you think? You've obviously heard EVP, people playing EVPs for you, and seen it, I'm sure, on YouTube and things like that. What are your thoughts on?
I agree with Bryce. Like, just having you almost need to have that video to kind of see, also to kind of disprove it. Because again, with just they both touched basically on what I would think too. If it's there, and if there's no possible way that they can disprove it, then hey, I would definitely accept it as evidence, kind of thing like that. It's just, I've never personally have had anything on mine, but
Well, the best, I think the best out of all the investigations that we've done, like you and me, and Mike, like as a group, was the Sarnie case with just you, me, and Mike.
Yes.
yeah.
And the second time we were there, and like everything happened the first time, that did the second time, and shadows and crazy things going on, and then we got that EVP of we were gathering our stuff up, and you asked me if I needed any help or needed a hand with anything.
Yeah.
I said no, I'm good. And then when that EVP came over, it said Bendy Rabbit, and I played that over and over. I'm like, what? Why? No, this doesn't make any sense. And then I played it for you, and you said, flip it backwards. Flipped it backwards, played it backwards, and it says, I don't have anything. Like, as soon as I asked that question.
Very clearly.
Very clearly. And it was in a Scottish accent or some kind of Irish or Scottish or
Yeah.
British accent. And then I played it for the homeowners, and they're like, oh, my grandmother was Scottish or whoever. I can't remember who the relative was, but it was a female voice that the owners knew had that background. And when I played it for them, like,
They kind of recognized it.
well, yeah, because they could kind of get the dialect of the voice, and they're like, that kind of sounds like my grandmother on my father's side or whatever. Like, it was so long ago, I can't remember what they said, but that is, to me, would be a hard piece of evidence because it directly responded to my question, like or to Nikki's question to me.
Yes. That's what they would classify as an intelligent.
Yeah, and it wasn't delayed. It wasn't like 5 seconds later it came over. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, do
And
you
the
need a
fact
hand?
you had to play it backwards too
Yeah.
That's
to catch
yeah.
is very interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
One of the theories is that time doesn't flow in the afterlife, doesn't flow normal like it does for us. It kind of goes forward and backwards and left and right and up and down. So
when you get something like that and you really think about it, like if spirits are real or if it was just an energy or whatever, like it was there right in front of us. Like saying that Bendy Rabbit or whatever they're trying to tell us.
Yeah.
And like that's like we've been doing it for so long. But you really think about it's kind of freaky. That's kind of was really weird that there was this energy or something
Yeah.
to that effect. Right, it was almost like this. Like Mike was on my right and you're on my left, and do you need a hand with anything? And it was like that. Like it was like I don't have anything. Bendy rabbit, whatever that means.
Yeah.
I don't know why it came out like that, but like
John,
that-
have you ever had any EVPs caught on audio that you've done personally, or that you
Nothing,
know of?
nothing that I've done personally. We did get that one EVP that Mike picked up there, one of our last investigations that was pretty good. I can't remember what it says, but I know that it was the one that made Bryce really. That's probably the most.
Yes.
the
Well, that was
biggest
from the Echo
reaction-
Box, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the
yeah.
That was an Echo Box
I have
session.
honestly, I've never seen Bryce react like that when it was played
Yeah.
back. It was quite interesting. Now, as to whether or not it's true evidence, I don't know, but it was still
It was compelling.
it was compelling.
Yes.
It was very clear. It was very compelling. It was quite interesting.
Our jury's still out on the Echo Box as to whether or not it's a
Yes.
valid tool or not. It's a fun toy to play with, but
And if you're not sure about that, check one of our previous videos that we've done on ParaNerd Talk when we talk about the
New Age
electronic.
technology.
New Age technology.
New Age technology is the one that you want to check out for that conversation.
yeah.
So I know for me personally, my first investigation was with you guys at the Capitol, I believe, in Sarnia.
Chatham.
Was it Chatham?
Yeah. That one's always interesting.
That one I brought my little recorder because that's what ghost hunters do, right? They bring their recorder. And we were up on the catwalk above the theater, and we were coming back. We kind of did our thing up there. We were coming back, and you had to kind of shimmy onto a ladder to go down, and the lights were off. And as we're walking down, I think it was Mike. He might have said, "Do you want us to? Should we radio down and get them to turn the lights on so we could see where we're going to get onto the ladder?" And right underneath of him saying that, I caught a really deep voice. It wasn't any of us, because this was a really deep voice. It said, "Watch out for the step."
I think it just said watch your step.
Watch
Watch your step, yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that, and that was just something that I
And
just
it
thought
was-
that was the coolest thing, and being my first investigation.
Yeah.
Getting something like that, and it was just the adrenaline went up. It was really amazing.
Yeah.
Well, with that, it's much like the one in Sarnia. It's directly related to what you're doing.
Yes.
Because you're asking to get the lights turned out, and you can hear on the recorder, you either hand it to me or Mike or somebody, and you can hear yourself hit that first rung of that ladder, and it says, watch your step.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's like something was standing right there beside you, or beside the recorder.
And I know 100% it was not one of us three, because the sound of the voice, it was just really low, deep, and dark.
Yeah, and the Capitol in Chatham has never failed to disappoint us. We've been there numerous times, and we've always caught excellent EVPs out of there. Or one where one of the investigators was taunting, and the EVP that we got was very clear, taunting him back.
Nice.
Yeah, and actually it was the same voice when you played that.
Yeah.
I recall it was the same voice.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was a very
It
distinctive
was
voice.
like kind of a deep, gravelly
Yeah,
voice.
yeah.
Yeah. And there was another time we went, and he at the end of the night when we were wrapping up, saying, "Thank you for your time," blah blah blah. He replied back, "Thank you," and it was again that deep, gravelly voice that. He's always a very interesting fellow out at the Capitol Theater.
Yeah,
Again,
sure.
watch our video on the Capitol Theater, and
Well, the last time we were there, like it was clear, audible,
yeah,
like voices like clearing their throats.
clear in
and-
the throat.
Oh, that's
yeah.
right too,
That
yeah.
was crazy. Like 3-4 times in a row.
Again, and that was kind of the reverse of the EVP because we didn't catch that on audio.
We heard it with our own
Well, we got
ears.
it on camera.
We did catch it on
You can
camera,
slightly hear.
Yeah,
it.
Yeah.
you can kind of hear it on camera.
Yeah.
but it was loud. It was like echoing through there, and
Mm-hmm.
I swear there was somebody standing backstage coughing and clearing their throat.
Well, it was loud enough. We all heard it.
Yeah,
And then the gentleman who was with us from the Capitol Theater was also hearing it.
Yeah.
So it was basically an independent source that was also hearing it.
Yes.
Well, now we kind of heard it, and then we went to investigate it, and while we're investigating it, we hear it again.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was definitely something.
And one of the most compelling EVPs for me was, again, a team went out to investigate my parents' house, and my grandmother had passed away a number of years prior, and I didn't tell the team anything about my grandma, about what kind of personality she was, or any of her health issues or anything. And they messaged me and they said, did someone in the house have a tracheotomy or something? I said, I never told you this, but my grandmother had throat cancer and she had a stoma, and she spoke through her stoma. They go, well, that's interesting. You should listen to these EVPs. And they played the EVPs, and it was, I swear to God, it was my grandmother's voice talking through her stoma. So those are the evidences where you go.
Yeah, so
There
going
is
back
something.
to the last couple we just talked about, it's
Yeah.
like, how do you disprove that?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and I can go back to my first case with our previous group in the Ajax. Trying to think back, that was 7 years ago, and like I think it was an uncle. It wasn't an uncle, like it was like a friend that they all called uncle. Lived with them, and he passed away, and they had like this family dispute. Of course, will and everything gets in the way, and they had his ashes in the house, and the EVPs we caught that night were like directly to the question. I cannot remember the gentleman's name, but it was like Steve, are you still here with us? And the EVP would come back, I'm doing all right, and are you happy that you're with your family? That it wasn't their family, but are you happy that your ashes are here? And it's like, I want to go home. It's like, like it was very emotional. And then when you're playing it back to the clients, and they're like, the wife like broke down crying because she just couldn't believe it, how clear and how consistent the answers were. And it was just like, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom. There wasn't any delay. It was
Yeah.
like as if he was standing right in front of you talking. And it was just constantly, I want to go home. I'm sad. I'm lonely. It's like, and they started crying. I got super
That's
emotional.
a tough
and,
thing to deal with.
That's
yeah. And then the not funny thing, but the kind of odd thing is that the husband of the wife, he had some health issues, and he passed away. So this is after I think I left. But the team went back to the house to investigate. It was like they wanted him back like immediately after he died, like say like a month, and they were getting responses from him. And again, like that, in his voice, and the family all like gathered around and listened to him, and they all said it was his voice. And again, it was, I'm alone, I'm lonely, I miss you. And it was just direct, perfect responses, and the family was super happy. But stuff like that, like you can play it for the family, and they know it's that person's voice, and they know who it is, and but you could be playing off their emotions and whatnot. But things like that, like skeptics and hard non-believers and whatnot, they can shoot down that all they want. If the family's happy with it, that's all that matters. If they know what it is and they're happy, and then they know that person is fine, or whatever the case may be, like the hard skeptics, they can shoot it down all they want.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
the
going
family-
back to the skeptics, I guess the main point for them is pareidolia, right?
Yes.
So,
And that would be the Class B EVPs or the Class
Right.
C EVPs that they.
well,
talk
I know
about that.
I've seen people in other teams that have posted, listen to this awesome EVP we got. And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What did I just hear?
Here, but it could be a
Not even that clear. You just did it way clearer than I've heard.
Yeah.
But they're passing this off as evidence. And
Yeah.
It's like literally like the most static background kind of, nothing. It's
Yeah.
like, how are you passing this off
And
as an EVP?
that's also been brought up in previous teams too, where they would catch an EVP where like a demonic voice says "get out," and it's very clear. But then you go back to the camera and it's somebody's stomach rumbling.
Right. So then you think, are some of these teams passing that off? Even they know that it's not.
Well, I think some people they want to get that holy grail.
Yeah.
And so they'll pick up. I've gone through it before too, where you're listening, you're like, oh my god, it just said hey, and then you look and you no, wait, that's somebody's foot shuffling.
Yeah. Well,
Right?
that happened recently with me. I was editing one of our investigations, and
Yeah.
on my audio recorder, I heard it's, hey, you. Clear as day. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
you. And I brought it to you guys. I'm like, listen to this. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And then I went to the video, and I heard the same thing at the same time, but it didn't sound like, hey, you. It sounded like you said, a shuffle or something.
Yeah.
So then that's automatically gone.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes. Exactly. Which what brings up why it's important to have multiple audio sources
Yeah.
too. It's like you've got your camera, you've got your digital audio recorder, and we've talked about this before in the past, Kevin, about the new high end. Like Jason's got that fancy high end one, where you seem to get fewer EVPs than the old ones that had that hissy sound.
Well, that goes back to the this Attila von Staisley.
Yes.
I'm assuming that's not how you say his name. I'm almost positive of that.
Yeah.
But he was using
Good butcher job.
He was using records, 78 records,
Yeah.
to try to capture, and didn't get nothing. But when he switched to reel, that's when he claimed he started catching all these EVPs.
There's a theory that white noise, which again goes back to the Frank's box also, that white noise is what helps draw these spirits out. And when you get the high-end digital audio recorders with the noise reduction and the background noise cancellation and stuff like that, you're eliminating that channel, supposedly,
Yeah.
for them to be able to record or to make their voices heard.
Yeah. Now,
There's-
is there something with the magnetic tape that would?
So the problem I see with magnetic tape is it, like with videotape too, is you reuse it.
Yeah.
So then you wind up getting you've recorded and you've got your
Once you start stacking,
Once you
things
start-
on top and top and top and top, it's going to start bleeding
things
through.
things will start bleeding through.
It degrades over time. Right?
Yeah.
The more uses you do with it, it just degrades until it's.
Where digital, it doesn't. It's a file. You delete the file's gone.
See, I think like going back to like groups or other people that use like that, and it's like this is the most craziest thing ever.
Yeah.
The biggest problem with that is TV.
Yes.
Is the ghost, not so much Ghost Hunters, but Ghost Adventures is the worst case for that. Like I'm sure we've all watched it, and I admit I've watched it 100 times. And they get on the ghost box or they get the thing, and then it's like, and Zach's like, "Oh my God, it's telling me to get out!" and this and
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
and then they put the subtitles over it, and it's like, well, okay, I guess that's what it's saying.
Yeah.
Because your mind, it's pareidolia.
Yes.
Your mind will, like, they'll play it first, and then they'll put the subtitles over it. You don't hear it first. Well, as soon as that subtitles, it's like, oh, yeah, I guess that does.
Yeah.
I guess it is saying.
Well,
that.
that goes back to like the whole Tipper Gore backmasking rock and roll music from the 80s, where you play music backwards and you hear Satan is my Lord, but it's not really saying that until somebody says, listen to what this says, and then you pick that up.
So that's.
If somebody has to tell you what it says,
Yeah.
then it's not a good quality EVP.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you can come back to it months later and listen to it and go, yeah, it still says that, then that's a good EVP. You can show it to anybody and not tell them. Like when Mike showed, now it took me a few listens with that Echo Vox.
That's what I was
but
going
it was
to
because
kind of sway this into away from actual EVPs and go into the audio portion, which would include Echo Box and
yes,
spirit boxes and stuff.
yes.
So we can continue.
So when I was listening to Mike's Echo Vox recording there, it took me a few tries, but then that was probably because of the speaker quality of the phone. Phones don't have the best speakers on them. But when he pointed out what it said, it was like, oh my God, it does say that word for word. It's not one of these where you got to stretch and listen to
Was
it.
that from the
That'll be on
previous
the
one?
upcoming Ingersoll
Yeah.
2-part
Was
episode.
that the one that you sent me? Ingersoll ones? Yeah. See, he did the same. Like he sent me those. Put them on my computer, headphones on, and listened to it. But what you said you thought you heard.
Yeah, the first
I said something completely different. Like he's like, this is what I'm hearing, and then so I listen. This is what I'm hearing. It made more. I don't know if it made more sense what I was listening to. Like if you just kind of, it was more kind of I just kind of looped it, like in one section, looped it back. But then again, the pareidolia can start coming in, and I
Yes.
can start hearing what I want to hear.
Yes.
But my first initial like response to you was like, no, it's saying, get your shit and get out. Like that's basically what I heard.
Yeah.
But the more I heard it, the more clear it became because my mind was interpreting it better. And I think it said,
Yeah, that happened with me too when I was listening back because I was there and I didn't hear it at the time. He said, "Did you hear what I just said? Just said this." Like, "Oh, really?" I'll have to listen to that back. And then when I listened to it back, it took me about 2 or 3 listens, and then once I got it, the rhythm of it, I'm like, wow, that's exactly what it said.
And I think also the other part to it too is how that you're listening to your EVPs.
Yes.
You know, I think that's also a big contributing factor because if you're listening to it like off your phone, you could hear it one way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're listening to it on a cheap set of earbuds or something like that compared to a decent quality set of headphones.
Yeah.
Then I think that can also influence your perception, I guess would be maybe the better word putting it for what the EVP is saying.
Yeah. And another tip that I heard about that was don't focus on the recording. Like put the recording on, throw your headphones on, start browsing the internet
that's the way I
while you're listening to it, and then you hear something and it will trigger something in your brain. You go, oh my god, there's something there. So you go back and then you focus on that. And that's where I found great EVPs is by doing that.
That's the way I review audio. Is I'll just do that. I'll just, like read web pages or something and just have it like more kind of in this ear because my right ear's a little buggered. But I'll just have the headphone over here and just kind of a little covering up this, and then just scrolling. Usually everyone's in bed or it's nice and quiet. It'll be the same thing. It's like I heard that, and you go back and listen to it again and cut it and then take it out and listen to it over and over again. But I find that when I'm guilty of it, I'm sure we all are. When I listen to audio, like sit there and stare at the screen, I'll fall asleep because you're watching the thing go by, and I'm more looking for spikes. I do that too. I look because you can see like the same kind of rhythm in our speech, and you look for that one little spike, maybe something like coughed or something. But yeah, I've fallen asleep numerous times, and I'm not ashamed to admit that because the worst thing about reviewing audio is that you were there.
Yes.
I would rather review Mike's audio. Like if I wasn't there.
Yes.
He was like, here, take all my 2 hours and listen to it. Okay, great. I'll like all their videos and everything. I never watched them because I was there.
Yeah.
Like I'll watch like how Jason did it and how he edited it, but I'll just kind of like skip by it. And with other groups, I never watch the videos. Like it's boring. It is.
Well, you lived it firsthand.
Well, yeah. I don't
right.
need to watch it again because I was there. And
Yeah.
but I more watch it how Jason edits at the beginning with the cool intros and the outros and stuff like that. But listening to audio, and it's so boring. It's incredibly boring because I'm just reliving what I've already done for 3 hours. And
that probably is a good thing that maybe we should move forward with is handing the audio off. If somebody's not investigating, handing the audio from that case off to to one of the people that wasn't there during the investigation, because then that also removes. I don't have any emotion if I'm reviewing for a case that I wasn't on. I don't have any emotional ties to it. I don't know if there was any personal experiences, any activity going on, and if I pick something up and I go, oh my god, did you guys hear this? And then hand it off to the person doing the video saying, these are the ones that I found. Can you match these up on video? Do you know, like, is there video stamps for these?
Yeah, so going back to other types of audio that are used to kind of collect evidence, do you guys take like the spirit boxes and the echo? Well, we spoke about this in the New Age technology, but
we didn't really talk much about the spirit box though,
No,
because
not so
that's
much,
not really a New Age technology. That's kind of
Right.
more of a old school.
yeah. So would you? The thing with the spirit box, SB7s, and that is that it's going to scan through, but you're going to pick up radio stations, especially if you're in the city.
Yes.
So it's going to pick up music. It's going to pick up the radio DJs talking and stuff.
Yes.
And it's just so hard. I just can't take it I can't take it legitimately when things like that are happening.
Yeah.
You're out in the middle of nowhere. There's no radio towers. It's scanning and it's pure static, and you hear a voice come through. That's a little more easier to
Yes.
take and want to, you know,
So
go
it's-
further into.
It's probably better to scan in the AM band,
Yeah.
especially if you're in a larger city, because there's very few AM stations anymore. You can get little Faraday keys for them too. That
Little pouches. And,
yeah, but essentially what they're doing is they're generating white noise, and that's what you're wanting to do, is generate that white noise, so you can pick up a voice that's talking through the white noise.
Like, unless it's actually answering you, like,
Yeah,
what's your name? Frederick.
yeah,
Well, that's kind of, you know,
yeah,
it kind of relates.
Yes.
It's not like, how old are you? Apple. Like,
yeah, exactly.
it doesn't work like that, right?
Yeah,
And I think sometimes too, like when you get them where they cross over, like as the channel changes, but the answer crosses over, you know,
Several
two,
bands.
yeah,
Several.
two, you know,
Yeah.
a couple of bands where you get that one answer over it. You know, it kind of is, you know, a little bit more interesting, right? You know, it's kind of like, okay, you know, that was a little bit more interesting than, you know, maybe that was an intelligent answer, you know. And when you start getting a couple of those that are, you know, you're getting an immediate answer that's relevant, that's crossing over a couple of the bands, I think sometimes then you're starting to get something that's, you know, worth looking at least further.
now
Yeah.
the drawback is it's a pain to listen to on audio.
It's a pain to listen to live. I mean,
Yes.
it kills my ears. It's
Yes.
just, it's so painful. So,
I think I've used it once at the armories and got very interesting when I was asking for names, and the name that came through, it like you said, where it passed through several channels. The name that came through was Heidi McLaughlin, and McLaughlin was the name of the caretaker that had stayed at the armories. So that was that. Like you said, it passed through, but yeah, it's a pain to listen to.
But we didn't really have to go over it that hard because we heard it with our own ears.
Yes.
Like it was clear as day.
Yeah.
Like it was almost like the scanning stopped and then the voice came through.
Yes.
Like it came right over top of everything.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like Heidi McLaughlin with lots of static and scanning. Like it was just Heidi McLaughlin. Like it was
Yeah.
just like it went Heidi McLaughlin. Like it was like two distinct, clear words.
Yes.
And then it kept scanning. Like it.
now then that's when you turn and you really hope that you actually recorded that
Yeah.
to
Yes.
back that up, you
Yeah.
know, and that's, you know, then you're getting into something really awesome. But,
So basically, we're finding throughout this conversation is that there's a pretty hard line in between. You can have the not so great evidence, so to speak, that's, you know, nothing to do with your questions, or static filled jargon, and then there's the other side where it's full names,
Yeah.
things that relate, the way the voices are coming through,
Yes.
that relate to, you know, real life or whatnot.
To the historical connection of the place. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
one last thing with that Sarnie case that Mike and Nikki were on. That case was turned into an episode on Paranormal Survivor that I just kind of stumbled across watching YouTube one night. And that Bendy Rabbit, I don't have anything, was the sole purpose of that one episode.
Yeah.
Like that's all they presented.
Yeah.
And of course, like we didn't have any credit. Like it didn't.
No.
Like I was. Not me. I was.
Yes.
I was a colored man, and Mike was a woman, and like the people portraying us were not what we were. But when I watched, I'm like, I know that house, and I know those people. I know the name of those homeowners,
Yeah.
and then when they didn't say Mike, Nikki, or Kevin or anything like that.
They just said a paranormal team.
But when as soon as they played that EVP, I'm like, that's my EVP. I recorded that, and that's awesome. Like that's, and I still have it. I've got it on a hard drive down in the basement. But like, that's cool. Like that one piece of evidence that our team presented to them, and they held on to that, and then they contacted Paranormal Survivor people, and then they made an episode of that one one
That was
piece of
also
evidence.
there was also like if you Google search Bendy Rabbit, there's I think it's the Sarnia Observer or something like that. There's
Yeah.
a article and they reference Bendy Rabbit.
Yeah, they interviewed the homeowners, and yeah, it's the same old thing. But I just think like for hard evidence, for like if that's not hard evidence, I don't know what is. That's
Yeah.
Us third party homeowners, they all thought it was good. So that's.
Yeah. Oh, and just a tip for people who are wanting to get into paranormal investigations: when you're doing recording, you don't fire off your questions like "What's your name? What year did you die? How old are you?"
You have to leave the space. For the
You
answer.
leave a space. I always leave probably about 30 seconds or so between each, just to give that time.
But with that, how many EVPs have we gotten where it's just us chit chatting like this,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you'll
it's
just get a
always
voice.
come or just-
You'll just
or
get a
just
voice.
talking.
Just jump in.
That's where I find that it mostly happens, not during the question when you're
It
sitting.
can be frustrating because you're sitting there for an hour asking questions and trying to garner a response. They're like, okay, well, let's just start packing up. Yeah, so what are you doing later? Blah, blah. And then boom, there's something
Yeah.
come through.
Well,
I'm here.
and that's how the Bendy Rabbit came over. We were just chit chatting and getting our stuff back
Yeah.
together, and boom, this voice comes over, and I've heard it.
Yeah. So I always
times.
like when we're doing investigations, I always like to take a pause about halfway through in an area where somebody says that something's going on. Just leave the recorders run and just talk about stuff. Talk about a TV show or something that's completely off topic, and see if you can get something to pick up. And
So you can do that way too. The other way is, I know we've done before, is you leave a recorder in a specific place where there's supposedly things happening, and you just leave it there, leave the room, leave the
Yeah.
area,
that's
and just leave it running.
they call it passive audio session, and I've got a good story about that with Moundsville Penitentiary, where I put it on a rail to do a passive audio session. Walk around the corner, and I'm walking back, and a shape walks out of the cell where I had the recorder. Walks out of the cell and leans over the rail and looks down at the people below, and then walks back into the cell. And I was like, holy crap, somebody down there. Go down there. There was nothing on audio. But then when I mentioned to other people who were investigating there that night, they were like, yeah, we saw that shape in the exact same spot. And I watched their video, and in that exact spot, you see him looking up going, there's somebody up there. And it was in the exact same, and that was pretty cool. But
Nice.
yeah.
So are there any final thoughts on audio, EVP? I think we've kind of covered that, there's the legitimate ones kind of, and the not so much. And there's different ways you can go about getting voices on recordings.
Yep.
Through just straight digital EVPs or tape recorders even. What do you think of the balance between tape recorders and digital? Like which one? I think we kind of touched on it earlier.
Yeah.
But it seems like actual physical tapes get more more responses.
Well, the thing with tapes, like Jonathan and I kind of mentioned before, is if you keep reusing tapes, you're going to start getting bleed through. Where with
Right.
digital, you're not going to run into that.
Yeah.
You'll get a digital malfunction maybe, but you won't get that bleed through of.
So would you
another-
take a digital EVP over a tape?
Yes, for sure, 100%. I would take a digitally recorded EVP over an audio recorded EVP, because there is so much saying that on the magnetic tape, it could have been the tape got wrinkled, and when it gets played through,
Right.
it's now an EVP, or the tape just have been reused so much that it's now an EVP. Where with digital, that can't happen. So
It's the same with video, right?
Yes.
And I know obviously we're talking about audio, but if you look back at video and, you reuse the videotape over and over and over again, I mean, it was the same with VHS, and then suddenly you end up with this ghost appear in the middle of your investigation. Well,
yeah,
you go back, like 4 times ago when the tape was new, and, you find out it's, your
There's-
wedding video, and, that's, you've
Yeah,
got
it's just a wedding
there
dress,
standing
it's not a
there.
there's a famous video from Disneyland where they say there was a ghost walking through, and you see this bright object moving around between the monitors and doing some investigation, you find out that this was an old VHS tape that they used for recording, and it had been recorded over numerous times, and it had been sitting in storage for a long period of time before somebody decided to break it out and see what was on it, and that's when they saw that. So yeah, you know.
Yeah. I mean,
Cool. Well, I think we covered audio and EVP
Yeah.
pretty thoroughly. It's a fun topic. It is a fun topic, actually, and it's always cool actually getting EVPs and being able to put them out there for people to,
Yes.
you know, give their opinions on. But other than that, I think we covered it all.
Yep.
So, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Head over to captureparanormal.com. Also head over to facebook.com/captureparanormal. Check out the next polls that'll be coming up later on. We kind of have our list right now of the few we're going to be covering. Next will be spirits versus demons. So that'll be a fun one to talk about. That was all voted on by our friends at facebook.com/captureparanormal. Patreon. We're on Patreon now, so if you want to kind of donate to the team and help us with our website hostings and our podcast hostings and all the other stuff, the traveling and everything we're doing, you can head over there and get some awesome content. We got some videos. We got you can get early access to, say, ParaNerd Talks or the CPI episodes, all that good stuff. You're gonna get, and the podcast, Capture Paranormal podcast. You're gonna get early access to all that, as well as some cool videos and pictures, and all for the Patreon pledgers. It's gonna be, you know, fun stuff we're gonna have up there. So get on patreon.com/captureparanormal. Donate 5, 10, 15, whatever you can, just to help the team out a little bit. And stay tuned for our next episode of ParaNerd Talk, and it will be on spirits and demons. So we'll see you then. Thanks.